All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Viper MC. The server IP is MeeZoid.vipermc.net, and you can now connect on pretty much any version of Minecraft. I'm sure you may have heard by now, but yes, we are releasing 1.20 hardcore factions and Kitmap on Viper. 1.8 will still remain up, the Kitmap and the HCF realms. But obviously, guys, you guys know HCF's not in a great state for those versions. 1.8 is pretty died down, and we're making strides to start something new on 1.20, okay? And if this is your first time hearing about 1.20 HCF, this is a 1.20 version, but with 1.8 PvP. So there's no hit delay, no end crystals or anything like that. It's still intended to kind of be a 1.8 PvP experience with all the new content that Minecraft 1.20 has to offer. So this video is going to serve as a helpful video for you guys to get the best settings on 1.20, both for FPS and just gameplay in general. So before we get into that part of the video, I'm going to go over the 1.20 release dates in case you guys do plan on playing, or if you're curious. So 1.20 Kitmap is going to release this upcoming Saturday at 2 p.m. EST, October 7th. It's going to be open to all. You can join at any time. Then the following weekend, Saturday, October 14th at 2 p.m. EST, will be the official release of 1.20 hardcore factions on Viper. So I'm going to be talking about vanilla Minecraft, Lunar client, and Labby mod settings for 1.20. So first, obviously, we're going to start with vanilla because it's the shortest. Before I get started, if you guys are like text learners, like you can read and understand something, there is a link down below to a brand new page we released on the Viper website that's pretty much going over all the stuff I'm going over, but in a text and graphic format. So you can actually just skim through that probably a lot quicker than this video, but this video will give you some extra information, so I would still encourage you to take a watch. I would personally not recommend playing on vanilla. Obviously, like that's kind of the case for everything. Any version of Minecraft, I think vanilla is always the worst for performance because there's not a lot of options that you can customize to optimize FPS or just gameplay in general. But the notes that I have right here is to pretty much, you want to lower your damage tilt. This is actually going to be something that you want to do for pretty much every version, but every version, when I say every version, I mean Labby mod, Lunar client, and vanilla. But when I say that, I mean that they all have their own different mechanisms of doing so. So for vanilla, you got to use the vanilla feature, obviously, which is escape, options, accessibility, and using the damage tilt modifier. So in this version, they actually fixed a bug that's existed on Minecraft for years where the hurt camera, the hurt shake, when your camera shakes and you take damage, it actually is based off of where you take damage from now, where previously it was always hitting from the left, which is why you'd always have like a static hurt camera. Like that's like the normal one that you'd see on every other version, because that's as if you're getting hit from the left. So you can kind of see like my screen like tilts a little bit. So yeah, this is the normal damage tilt. But yeah, pretty much it's a lot more aggressive now in this version because of the fact they fixed this bug. So that means you are going to want to lower your damage tilt percentage. So if I lower this to like super low and I do it again, you can see like barely moves. But the reason why I want to do that is because if you get hit straight on, your camera goes like up and down like super dramatically. I think I'm going to try to put a clip on screen right now, like showing that example of when you're rotating your screen, your damage camera just kind of gets like really ugly. So I'm going to put that on screen right now, hopefully, and you guys can kind of see how as I turn my view, it gets worse and worse, or like different, I guess, as you go on. So obviously in a PvP game mode on 1.20 HCF with legacy PvP, 1.8 PvP of like swinging a bunch, you're not going to want that damage tilt at all. So that is why we pretty much recommend that you'd want to go to like 25% or lower, just a low percentage in general to kind of fix that, because otherwise you're not going to be fixing that issue on vanilla. But again, wait till we talk about the other clients because there's other solutions. Additionally, on vanilla, you actually have toggle sprint now. You can literally turn sprint to toggle, and whatever your sprint key is, I'm pretty sure you can just toggle it and start running and it'll be toggled. There's also more accessibility settings in here that you can actually learn about on the official Mojang website. So I'm going to link this down below, but it's pretty much a big article of like everything in the accessibility menu and how it can help you. As for video settings on vanilla, it's pretty much the basic stuff like lower your render distance, put your graphics to fast, turn smooth lighting off. There's not a whole lot of customization on vanilla because of these, obvious things. There's no mods on it. There's nothing you can customize other than what Mojang allows you to do. So that's pretty much it for vanilla. Not too much to talk about. So since I'm on Lunar client right now, we'll just go ahead and go over this. I will say that Labby mod has a bit more customization than Lunar because you can like add and remove your own mods, whereas Lunar comes with their own mods. But in my opinion, I think both are great. So either one that you prefer, you can do. I personally will be using Lunar. Obviously, I am a Lunar partner, but I think even if I wasn't, I would still be using Lunar just because I've been using it all these years and I like the aesthetic of it. And honestly, I don't have that bad of a computer, so I don't need to go above and beyond to get better performance and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start optimizing our Lunar. So first thing, if you don't have a Lunar client, just download it from the website. lunarclient.com, I believe, is the URL. Then once you launch it for the first time, you can sign into your game, and they have all these versions. Obviously, I always play on 1.8 for the most part, but now we're on 1.20. So there are 3 versions. We've got 1.20, 1.20.2, and 1.20.1. So this is actually the really important part. You're going to be wanting to go on 1.20.1 and Lunar plus Fabric. You don't want to do the Optifine. When I've been playing on 1.20, I've actually been using this one, Lunar plus Sodium, but they're actually pretty much the same thing, because if you look at the description of them, the Fabric mod loader has Sodium, Iris, and all this other stuff, just like this one does right here. But yeah, we're going to be doing 1.20.1 and the Lunar plus Fabric mod. So let's launch the game now. But yeah, I would recommend doing 1.20.1. I know there is 1.20.2, but I don't even know if we support that yet, as well as the fact you never really want to update to the latest version right away. You should just stick with, I mean, if you're in the core version of 1.20, that should be fine. But again, we're using 1.20.1 and it's loading up right now. All right, so first things first, we're going to go over to the Minecraft settings at the bottom and start working through this. So I'm just referencing off the website that, again, is linked down below in the description. So we're going to go to video settings and click on general. All right, we'll see multiple options. In order for you to get the best performance on Viper, please mimic these settings down below. Again, guys, this is like, obviously we're doing the most important settings. You can modify these to your liking the best you can. If your FPS is already fine, just increase settings if you want, but this is like what we'd recommend at the lowest standard to get the best FPS. So render distance, it's saying we are recommending 6, but this is very dependent on your PC. Obviously, render distance, it's been standard throughout every version of what it does. So obviously, if you're super low render distance, you're gonna have better FPS, but that's not a great experience. So we have it at 6. I personally play at 8. I've always played at that for Minecraft, except when Viper was super popular, a lot of bases were around, I'd actually lower it even more just to get better FPS while I was recording. But if you guys aren't recording, you probably won't matter too much. But yeah, 6, I guess we'll just apply that. Max shadow distance, I believe this is something with just shadows in general. So obviously, if you turn it off, I don't think it's really going to do too much to the quality of the game, but it will help your frames. Simulation distance is currently marked to 5, which is the lowest. Brightness, 100%. I think mine says 10,000 because I have full bright on or something like that. GUI scale, obviously your own preference. I think 3x is the same as large, so that's what I play on. Full screen, I actually don't really need to play in that because I will play in borderless windowed, which is basically full screen. So other than that, I would recommend full screen because I think if you don't play in full screen, your FPS can actually kind of suck as opposed to full screen. It's something I've noticed. I think it might be because I have multiple monitors. I don't know, but I've always played in full screen. Now, max frame rate, it goes all the way down from 10 to 260, but if you go to the highest, it just is unlimited technically. So something I'll say about VSync, what this does is it caps your frame rate at your refresh rate of your monitor. So if you have a 144 hertz, it'll cap it at 144. Personally, I've actually always played with VSync on 1.8 because of the fact that like my computer would do so well that it would make my frame so high that the GPU load would just be super high for no reason. So I've always played on VSync so that I could record properly and not have like GPU overload when it comes to, you know, OBS. A bunch of stuff I'm just randomly talking about that you probably won't care about if you don't record, but VSync can actually help some people. It does vary, like it says right there, performance impact, it varies. I used to play on it, but something I've noticed is when I put on VSync on the higher versions, it incorrectly detects my refresh rate and it like locks it at 60. So I don't play on VSync on 1.20. I haven't had any problems with the GPU load on 1.20, so I probably won't actually play with it on. But that's just something to, you know, I want to tell you guys about. Now there's view bobbing, which is like just normal Minecraft setting. This is all preference. Attack indicator, I think that's like the hit delay thing. This won't actually even show on your screen if you're playing on Viper, so you could just turn it off. I just keep it on crosshair. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, moving on to quality. So graphics, obviously the best way if you want to get the highest FPS possible is, okay, I didn't even know there's a fabulous, what the heck. Fast is the best one. Color space, I don't think that's any really impact on performance. We don't even reference it in the settings. Clouds we have as off, weather as fast. I think this, if you do it as a default, I think it might just like load this. I don't know for sure though, but just go on fast. Particles, obviously if you want the worst amount or the best FPS, go to decreased, you turn it all off. Smooth lighting, again, you can turn that off. Entity distance, they put it to 50, which is the lowest. Entity shadows off completely. Vignette, that's just like the screen thing around. Some people play this off. I personally keep it on. I like it. And then map levels, I have it as 4x, which it looks like they kept it as 4x as well. But I know if you do go lower, I'm pretty sure it will help your FPS, but it might look kind of ugly. I've seen it before. I always use my map levels at the highest. But yeah, the website does say 4x. But again, you guys can modify these settings. You know, kind of treat these as like a baseline. Modify them as you see fit. Like obviously, I'm not gonna play with these settings. I want to make my game look good because I record for it. But for this video purposes, I will do this so you guys can see it. All right, so the performance performance tab. So this one has a little bit of like kind of you have to decide what you want. So a lot of these things can cause problems, but can also help performance. So on the website right now, it says that we want we just recommend having this on default and then everything else on off. But right now, me personally, I'm looking through everything, and I think some of these can help. And if you want to try it, then you should. Again, these settings that I'm showing off are not final. The final version, I guess, would be on the website, but it's going to consistently update as we learn more about what's better. So for example, this one right here, it can help you with frame rate in some scenarios, but it can create significant visual lag in the world. So that's up to you if you want to try that. Again, it can ruin kind of how your game looks in some scenarios, but it can actually help in a lot. This one right here, this one can help you with memory bandwidth and GPU, but it could make it so you see holes in blocks. So again, upside, downside, kind of got to go with it. Fog, this one actually seems extremely helpful, but we're actually going to recommend that you don't use fog at all. But if for some reason you're using fog, I would definitely turn this on. It kind of makes sense that it would help a lot. Pretty much anything hidden by fog won't be rendered, so it helps your performance. This one right here is like, I think it only renders entities that are visible or something like that, which would help you. Again, this one right here is about animated textures. I think if it's off, animated textures will always be animated, but if you have it on, then they're only animated if they're visible, which should help you as well. And then this right here doesn't really do anything at all. But yeah, I would recommend trying these out. I'm going to have them all on because I think they will help, but if I have any issues, then I will definitely kind of look at these as some of what caused it. Because again, all of these can cause issues. Like this one can stop textures from being animated. This one can have undesirable visual artifacts between sky and fog. This one can have holes in blocks, and then this one can have visual lag in the world. But all these are intended to help you. Again, on the website, we currently have it just say do everything off to have no problems, but you guys can kind of make your choice here. Now, advanced is kind of the same thing. The website says to turn this off. However, this actually can help you. I think there's some bugs with AMD stuff, with like sodium and stuff, and this can actually help you. Just enabling it will reduce CPU overhead and instability of frame time, which could help you, but it does require some stuff. Again, we have it as off because we're appealing to everybody, but if you have these things, then might as well try it. I have mine on. And then CPU render ahead limit, it kind of recommends that very low or very high values can create frame instability. So we have it recommended as 9 on the website. 3, 4, 5, 6 probably fine. I think 3 is the default because they do say, again, very low or high can make instability. Again, this one doesn't even have like a performance impact, so I don't know if it's even actually going to do anything for you guys. So do that as you may. Shader packs, obviously no shaders. So again, if you just did all your settings, make sure you click apply and then plus done. Now we're going to go into the Lunar settings. So that is going to be right here, Lunar settings, and then we're going to go to mods, then settings, and then performance. All right, so showing enchantment glint, this can actually help you a lot because I've noticed that it is kind of preference, but I have noticed some packs have like a really bad enchantment glint that ruins your FPS. So it is preference. I'm going to have mine on all unless something bad happens, but turning it off completely may boost FPS, and that's for sure. Now, lazy chunk loading, this is a very, very important setting that can help you a ton, but it can also make your game look a little bit worse when it comes to chunk loading. So the best setting is lowest. It'll load chunks every 30 ticks, which gives you the highest FPS boost. I personally play on off because that's like vanilla chunk loading, which I think is the fastest, which means there's no FPS boost. But for this purposes, we will do it to lowest and kind of see how that goes. So again, the website does say it's a very important setting though, that it will affect your FPS by a lot. As for everything else, I think it's kind of up to you guys. Some of these can help you. Some of them will do a little bit. Some of them will do small things. This one, max unfocused FPS, I would put this as low as possible. So that means when you're tabbed out, your FPS gets limited super low, which makes your GPU load actually go down a very significant amount. Now you guys want to go to mods, and we're going to go to the lighting mod. This is a pretty basic one that you want to turn on and just have full bright. People like having full bright on. It's always good. But the brightness boost, I think you just go to 10 all the way to the top for like extreme full bright. 1.0 is vanilla bright, 10.0 is 10 times bright. Another one we'd recommend going to is the weather changer mod. You can pretty much make it, I think you can actually just turn off it all the way. You can just go to clear, and that will actually make it so that you never see rain and stuff like that. But yeah, you can turn that on, and that will actually make it so you never see rain or snow, which is good for FPS like significantly. I mean, everyone already knows that. Another setting worth noting is the fire height. This is pretty much how you can turn on low fire without needing a texture pack that specializes in that, which you could pretty much go all the way down to 0 to have it completely off. If you want like a slight little fire, you could turn it up a little bit, I believe. But yeah, default is like 1. You can turn this down low. Something I do want to mention about the weather changer, by the way, when it's raining, that's actually important for the diver class, which you'll probably find out when you play 1.20, because you can use a certain trident when it's raining. So if you have this off, you won't be able to see that, I guess, which is kind of a disadvantage, but it's something to consider. I'm pretty sure the sky does change colors though when it rains regardless, so you can take note of that. Then the fog customizer, this one's actually really important. I would recommend turning off fog completely to 0. I do think that fog looks really nice on 1.20 in the nether and stuff like that. Like it gives it like a brand new vibe, but it will put you at a disadvantage in a PvP game mode like this, so I would turn it off. Additionally, this does affect water fog too. If you don't have this off, the fog in the water will be like really, really thick, which you can turn off completely again with fog customizer. So again, I would recommend turning this to on and turning this to 0 and 0. So you currently see I'm getting 300 FPS or so. I think before I did these settings, it was kind of lower to like the 180s, which is still really good, but I've never been getting 300 before. So the settings definitely did help. The last thing we're going to talk about on Lunar is the damage tilt thing we spoke about earlier. So again, you can affect this naturally with just this setting right here, which does work, or you can keep it at 100 and then use the Lunar client mod called Hurt Camera, which is what I personally will be doing. So if I do that, then it pretty much overwrites the Mojang one, but you still have to have the Mojang one at 100%. And again, you can turn it off completely, or you can have a lower intensity. So it's kind of the same thing as the accessibility settings, but the reason why I'm suggesting this is because Lunar is adding something that pretty much reverts that update that Mojang did, where when you're moving around, like I showed you guys earlier, and it changes where the shake comes from. So once they add that setting, it pretty much means that it'll look exactly like 1.8 or 1.7, and it will be in this mod. So I guess just wait for that. But yeah, personally, I think 0.15 is like a good number on here, and turning on the hurt camera. And then if we do damage, Zoid me 1, you can see like that's what it looks like a slight little tilt. So again, it's nothing like the normal one right now. You can turn it higher, which will make it look more like the real one. But if you get hit straight on, guys, it's going to look ugly. So that's why turn it as low as possible that you're okay with. And then once Lunar adds that mod or that mod option that it disables the the update thing that they did, then that will actually make it 10 times better. It'll be just like 1.8, and then you won't have to worry about damage tilt. Okay, so good news. I just spoke with an owner at Lunar. They said they're going to try to push out that update on Friday. So that's a day before Kitmap release. So hopefully you guys can utilize that. It's going to make it look so much better and more like 1.8 PvP. So that's pretty much all I have for Lunar client. Again, a lot of these settings you can modify as you like. Like for example, I'm not going to play with smooth lighting off because I think it looks ugly for videos, like I said. So if I turn that on, you can see, in my opinion, it just looks 10 times better. But my FPS is actually kind of the same. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe, modify things. Again, this is what I'd recommend. Start from the baseline and then go up with each setting and see if it makes a significant difference. Like right now I'm getting like 400. I usually never get that while recording. So that's actually really, really high. I've never gotten this high before. So that is good, guys. That is good. The settings are working. Play around with it as you see fit and just make adjustments for what you guys like. I probably also would go to fancy, at least for some of the graphics, like leaves. I like fancy leaves. Everything else I actually am fine with it. Particles, I actually do like particles on a lot, so I would put those to all as well, which may lower your FPS in certain situations, but yeah. And for you guys to see what fog looks like, if you turn it off, it's like pretty evident what fog is like, so that's why I would turn it off. Again, something else I can show you. All right, so take a look at the fog. So obviously it loads in the longer you're in here, but if I like fly into water right away, it's very, very foggy. But if I turn on the fog customizer and we turn off fog completely when I go into it, it's just good right away. So again, in my opinion, I think it looks better with fog, like if I was playing single player, but it's not going to be convenient for you guys when you're actually playing the game mode. Another example of what I mean. So this has no fog on, but if I turn fog on, I think, in my opinion, it looks really nice in single player, but it's not going to work if you're actually playing on, competitively a PvP game mode. Like some of the areas in the nether look really cool with the fog, just because, the nether update happened. Like right here, I think is like the best part. But again, it's not really sustainable. So I would 100% turn off fog. Otherwise, you're going to get screwed by somebody who's hiding in the fog. I want to emphasize the importance that obviously in 1.20 FPS is just generally worse, so you're going to need to make adjustments, and this is honestly the best stuff that you can do. Like right now I'm getting over 500. That is great on 1.20 while recording in I think I record in 240 FPS. So obviously that's looking pretty good for us right now. Again, also keep in mind the stuff I'm saying might change, so you want to refer to the website as time goes on, especially if you're watching this video way after it came out. I'm sure the website will be updated with better information. But yeah, it's always good to just test things out yourself. But yeah, that's kind of everything I want to talk about when it comes to Lunar. Again, I think the most important settings that might make your experience bad on 1.20 is literally the damage tilt and the fog in some scenarios. Like I think fog and nether can get you screwed over really hard. But damage tilt in general, because of the thing that Mojang fixed, it looks really, really ugly at 100%. So 100%, guys, you need to fix that. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad. The last thing I'll say about damage tilt, like in my first video, I played with it completely off. And for some reason, dude, it just looks really weird to me when it's completely off. Like, look, I'm taking damage right here, but you don't even know I'm taking damage because nothing happens to my screen. So I couldn't really like that. And it kind of made the PvP look weird in my video, which is why I play on like 0.15. But again, once Lunar adds that feature of reverting back to the 1.8 damage tilt, then it'll look just like 1.8 in PvP and it'll look way better in my opinion. All right, so like I said in the intro, I was going to talk about Labby mod as well, and I did record the entire thing, but there's something happened with Labby mod that we're going to be postponing when we're going to be releasing that the mod settings and all that sort of stuff. So it will come out eventually, probably on the website. Don't think it'll be in my video, but there was like a bug with it that kind of messed up the look of everything, and we weren't able to find a fix to it. So we're just going to wait for that to be fixed before talking about it or anything like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys did learn how to get some better performance on 1.20 and learned a little bit about the things you want to be prepared for on 1.20, like the damage tilt and all that sort of good stuff. Now to talk about texture packs, we do have Latency. You guys probably know him if you've been around the community for a while. He's going to be releasing some 1.20 texture packs in the very, very near future, like probably this week, that you guys can test out and play with. And hopefully you guys can download them and enjoy them. So yeah, stay tuned for more information about everything in the Viper Discord. That is going to be all for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.